Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tougies Take Podcast. We are back again. It is us, the guys, the fellas, back for another edition of your favorites, Hockey Fraudcast, as we call it around here, because let's be honest, boys, we're going to talk about some hockey today, but who knows what else we might get into. That has been the theme of the show. I am joined alongside Mr. Sin for the win and Mr. Endo Mills. Gentlemen, how are you?
I'm good. I'm a fantasy god. No big deal.
That's good.
Fantasy god.
I'm streaming more often, so I'm good too. How are you doing, Tougie?
I am fine.
Yeah, look at you. You got ideas for franchise going out the window because of the state of NHL.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting married in 3 weeks. You're a very busy man.
Mm-hmm.
When's your honeymoon? And why am I crashing it?
The weekend after, we're gonna take a couple day tour of some Eastern Canada, making some pit stops here and there. I'm not gonna quite give it away. I'll give it away to you off the podcast.
Yeah, don't let people be knocking on his hotel door.
Yeah.
God, but yeah, no, that's coming up very, 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 very soon, which is weird, but good weird, you know?
Crazy.
Like,
Hubby 24.
Yeah. You know, we gotta be prepped for the next decade, heading into the 30s. Take that.
30s are
people.
cool. I bet.
Jesus
Who
Christ!
knows?
Don't
I
get me
might
started
get
on.
married in my 30s. Who knows?
There you go.
I mean,
had
what's the rush?
Yeah, I'm not even fussed.
Man, I had a almost mental breakdown because I realized I'm gonna die, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Oh yeah, a fun old quarter life crisis in your
We've
20s.
It just happened.
We've all been there, buddy.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning. I'm like, I'm gonna die, and nothing's gonna happen. And like, I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah, bro.
I was putting my computer together. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then just like mortality, and I'm like, oh my god, this is not gonna be great.
Yeah, dude. You get in that mindset. You're like, oh my god, I'm gonna be 30, and then I'm gonna be 40, then 50, then 60, then 70, then 80, and I'm gonna fucking die.
But I told myself, I have 60 good years. Okay, 60 good years in me. Our family, we don't pass out young, so I'll be like 95 with like fucking loose skin all the way down to my fucking elbows, and it'll be great. It'll be awesome.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't think we'd get on this topic today. It's like,
Yeah,
hey,
well-
getting married, also death.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah,
aging.
just lean into it, man. Seriously though, Endo, you hit 30, and then all of a sudden you realize like that shit doesn't matter.
I realized that the minute after. I was like, I'm gonna die. I'm like, who gives a fuck? I got like 60 years on me. Took me this long to get to 25. Fuck it all.
You know, it's
And I was
funny
like,
for
what is my purpose? Why do I pay bills if I'm just gonna die? The circle of life.
you
and
pass
just- yeah.
butter.
Yes, but-
Damn it, you beat me to it.
Oh my god.
You beat me to it.
Join the club, buddy.
God. You know, it's funny, though. It's just that kind of thing where it's like people are like, oh, yeah, I got like another 50, 60 years. And I'm like, I hope I get like 20. Like, just get, like, as long as I get like another 20, I'm good. And then anything beyond that, I get to view as like, all right, cool. You know, like if I get to, you know, go beyond the 45 and up, like I'm good at that point.
So you're gonna give it like 3 good hockey periods of like 10 years length, and like 15 minute periods of life, and then everything after 50 is just overtime.
Dude, I'm gonna hit age 50 and look like George H.W. Bush in the wheelchair at the baseball.
It's just a hockey.
Live on Twitch.tv. Hockey fucking
Oh my
hands.
god.
Oh God, that'd be
God, I
beautiful.
totally forgot what I was going to say, but I had a good point. Oh well, it's
Keep
gone
thinking.
now.
I believe. No, it's gone. Okay. But yeah, no, it's a busy time for me. And yeah, by the way, the heads up, early November, we might miss a couple of shows because I'm gonna be busy. You know, getting married and everything.
And then late November, I'll miss some shows because I'll be in
And
Finland.
Late
Ooh,
December.
that's the first
I'll
I'm
miss
hearing of this.
shows.
Yeah, this is actually the first time I'm going where you will not also be there at some point, Tougie.
Mm.
I'm going just to see the girlfriend.
There you go.
No.
That's nice.
What was it, like 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, 6 months?
Nah, yeah, 2 weeks. It's going to
Not
be
too
the
bad.
darkest of times there.
Well,
And,
yeah. That's right. This will be your
yeah.
kind of first experience. Well, no, I mean February. It's
It-
weird.
It wasn't
would've
that dark in February,
right.
apparently.
You would have experienced, like, you're going in November, so it won't quite be as bad as it gets. And then you went in February, where they're coming out of as bad as it gets.
Well,
So you're
it's close to as bad as it gets. Like, I'm gonna get to
That's true.
experience the Finnish Independence Day, but yeah, December and January are like the darkest times.
Yeah.
So
Are
I'll
they swearing you in
experience-
as a citizen?
A citizen.
Yes.
We have an episode title.
We're terrible.
We're the worst. Why do people listen or watch this show? That's a great question. That I just...
Yeah.
Anyway,
Also, speaking of time away, I might take time away. Yeah.
How can you afford to go anywhere with the rent
I'm
prices?
not going
you pay?
anywhere. I'm having people come here. That's the thing.
Ah.
I might have in-laws or an in-law come visit for a week. It's gonna be great because like Paulina's dad's like, oh, I haven't seen you in like God knows how many years. Because like, busy as hell, and they're gonna play hockey together because her dad plays hockey and she plays hockey. So like they're gonna plan a whole day to play, not just play hockey, but like see other things in the city and everything. Go visit the area.
That's cool.
And then get to play hockey with each other for the first time. I think she said like 11 years.
Damn.
So yeah, I get to also meet him and then awkwardly be like, hey, yo, I'm going to marry your daughter. Is that cool? And they'd be like, yeah, cool, sweet.
Duh.
Yeah, whatever.
You'd be
Like they're
"Nyet."
already like, you guys are going to get married. Like you're not going to leave each other. Like she tried to get rid of you once and you kind of just like showed up at the door, you kind of thing. So yeah.
That's a story
Big.
I haven't heard. Feel
Yeah,
free
that's
to
a story
elaborate.
I haven't heard either.
We originally broke up like maybe like 6 months after we started going out. It was mostly like school related thing for her, and I was kind of like, what the fuck's going on? You gotta tell me what's going on here. And then she finally told me what was going on with like school and everything. And then after that, she's like, I'm an idiot. I like left you. I kicked you out because like I was working on school and everything. I'm like, you don't have to go through shit alone. She's like, oh, thank you. And yeah, now 5 years, almost 5 years later, I'm still here. I'm still standing. I'm gonna
And
marry
then
that
showed
lady.
up- Showed
I
up
want-
like Eric Andre. Let me in.
Yeah.
Let me in.
I want her perspective
Yeah, me
on
too.
this.
Really?
I'm
You
not
want it for
saying
perspective?
I'm not saying I don't trust your viewpoint on this, but I feel like there's a distinct lack of younger endo fuckboy behavior that
Yeah.
you are excluding from the story.
Oh, right. Okay. So listen, the younger Enbo fuckboy was great and all, but then like you meet someone, and it's kind of like they kind of like make you realize like what, I'm gonna be a fuckboy, but for one person, and that's my future.
I mean, you can't disagree with the logic, right? Not at this point.
Yeah.
Do we got anything else? There was something I was going to ask Sin. Sin forgot something. It's a
Oh, I
whole-
remembered it now.
Oh,
It was
good.
just on the topic of aging. I was just like, yeah, I had when I got my blood tested for to get a new medication to help manage the gout shit. They're like, hey, you're we want to raise this the good cholesterol. You know how they're like, yeah, it's a little low for us. We want to raise that. I'm like, fuck, man. I'm starting to get the doctor's orders to manage cholesterol better. I'm like, this sucks. But now I'm just eating so many veggies, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna start baking my chicken. I guess I'll eat less eggs. Fuck.
May I introduce you to my gigantic container of fish oil?
That's the thing. Yeah, I take omega-3s, man. I do take
Dude,
omega-3s
that's
every
the way.
day.
I used to pop cod liver oil like it was no business when I was like
Fuck
7,
me, man.
8, 9. Dude,
God.
I was like the omega-3 king in middle school.
Yeah.
I had all my fucking things, all my vitamins, vegetables. Dude, I loved broccoli as a kid. I fucking loved
I still love broccoli.
People,
I still love
Dude.
broccoli too.
so good.
It's
Fucking
delicious.
great. I was late on the avocado thing. I'll be honest with that. I loved guacamole, but I was late on the avocado itself.
I hate
but,
both guacamole and avocado. Tastes like gross.
Well, fuck you then. What the fuck?
Hey, whatever, dude. I'm a bad Californian. What can I say?
People are going to get whiplash from the topics from the first 10 minutes of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Mortality, wedding,
All over the place.
Food.
Fish oil
Gout.
and guac. We have a time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still stuck trying to remember what the hell I was trying to remember now, but it's just not happening at this stage.
Okay. It's all good.
Is there anything else either of you wanted to add before we get to some viewer questions?
Let's get to some viewer questions.
No,
See
we don't
what
want to
they have
talk about.
add.
We don't want to talk about aging and mortality for another 10 minutes.
Nah, it's fine.
Fair.
We've hit enough
My grandma's birthday.
existentialism already.
There you go.
My grandma's birthday is like 2 weeks. It's like 95.
God damn.
Black
Congrats
belt
to
crack,
her.
baby. That's right.
Oh, God, there's a segue here. I just can't find it. This podcast, though, is brought to you, as always, by our lovely friends at Manscape.com.
Clean your crack.
Yeah, basically. You can use the code Tougie. That's TOUGIE for 20% off your order, and you get free shipping as well. Again, that's code Tougie. TOUGIE from our lovely friends at Manscape.com. The peak, the pinnacle, the best. Be the best citizen you can by using code Tougie at Manscape.com. The best in men's grooming.
That's how I got all my stuff, man. That discount code is legit.
There you go. So with that, let's get to some of these questions. It's been an up and down segment over the last few weeks. We'll see what's in store for us today. We kick things off with AJ. You just got drafted to the NHL. Would you rather go through the CHL or the NCAA? Or would you rather go to Europe? Pick your best Be a Pro destination.
Europe.
I'm going to rephrase AJ's question. If you could play Be a Pro any way you want, what would be your primary path?
Europe and be able to go back to Europe.
That's a fair answer, yeah.
Like, I want to be able to be one of those players where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's the kid who played for the ZSC Lions, and then at age 37, he comes back for the last 2-3 years of his career. It'd be so fun. Obviously, that's like, the idea of like the NCAA would be really fun too. Obviously, we don't have that in a video game perspective, but in real life, I don't know. College is fun. Get an education to fall
I never
back
had the
on.
university experience.
Yeah, like when you when you have to retire at age 25 because you're not as good as you think you are, you want to make sure you have that education to fall back on. We've seen quite a bit of that looking through old EA NHL rosters recently, where it's like, oh, that dude retired right after junior, and then you see him on LinkedIn, and it's because you'll search a player's name and it'll be Elite Prospects and then LinkedIn, and it's like, well, he retired. What's he doing? Oh, he's a data analyst now. That's cool. Good for him. How many degrees away from stalking is that? You decide. But yeah, God, Endo, I don't remember if you had an answer for this.
I would go through the NCAA. I want to play. I'm going to play 1 year at Arizona State University. Go through the transfer portal just to experience how Mullet Arena is as an ice playing surface.
I was like, oh, okay. You maybe don't know, but yeah, Arizona's like this huge fucking party school. Like,
I'm aware.
Okay.
I watched a Ludwig video where he boasts about how ASU is like the party school of like the US. Yeah. Fuckboy Endo's coming back, baby. Let's fucking go.
One more ride before marriage.
Yeah. Fuck the ring. Shit over there. And let's get some pussy. Sorry.
Goodness gracious.
I'd do that and then go play. I would just travel to different colleges / universities and check out like different school programs. Because I'd be like the third string goalie who gets like one game per season.
Our next question comes from Young Burrito. What's the best dip for pizza?
No dip. What the fuck are you monsters doing, man? Dipping your hot wings and dipping your pizza and shit. If it's good pizza, you don't need to dip it. What the hell? Fucking heathens.
I love Sin's serious food takes.
Yeah.
I am so opinionated when it comes to certain types of foods. Like dipping, like hot wings have sauce on them. That's the flavor. Pizza is great on its own. Why are you dipping it in ranch? It just takes away all the good flavor and turns it into ranch flavor.
Now, I will say, as someone who occasionally, it's not an every time thing, will dip pizza in ranch, it is true that ranch becomes about 85% of the taste.
Yeah.
It is a very overpowering flavor for whatever else is there. Endo, do you have a preferred pizza dipping option?
Okay, so here's my thing. There is a company, like a national chain of pizza called Pizza Pizza.
Tell us
Their
about the board of
pizza
directors. Sorry. Just kidding.
Shut up. Their pizza is fucking cardboard. It is fucking terrible. But they have mastered one thing, and it is their creamy garlic sauce. I'm not sure what it is about it, but it's just so fucking good. It's got the perfect texture, perfect viscosity. It's not too runny, and it's not too solid. It's like a perfect amount. And people will like buy that in drones and then go get pizza from other places.
Droves.
I corrected myself.
Drones.
He did so well with viscosity and then threw it away.
I corrected myself, and I corrected myself wrong. They will go there. They will purchase the thing at the one location, and then they will keep going to that one location just to grab dipping sauce and then buy pizza from somewhere else. You cannot match that. It is that good. It's that good.
All right, I will amend my answer to say when I was like broke at like 18, 19 in that area range, and all you could afford pizza wise is Little Caesars. I would dip, but one of the things I love to do was pour Tapatio on the pizza. Then that was my favorite. That fucking tasted so good with that Little Caesars cardboard pizza.
Tapatio, what's that? What is that?
It's a hot sauce.
Oh, okay.
I knew that.
Yeah, you don't have Tapatio where you are at?
No, at least
you need some more Mexicans up there, dude.
Sorry, we're all Canadian.
One people, one country.
Yeah. We have Tabasco. We got Frank's Red Hot. We got fucking the bottle with the cock and the green thing on top of it, like the sriracha bottle. We got that. Maybe I just haven't seen what you're talking about.
And no Mexican
I definitely
hot
put Tabasco sauce on my pizza as well.
You know, I just had the thought. There has to be a maple syrup inspired hot sauce in Canada, right? Someone's had to have done that by now.
100%.
Let me check.
Yeah.
Dude, there's such a crazy hot sauce culture, especially now after the success of a certain YouTube show.
Yeah, no free promotion here, fuckers.
They don't need it, let's be honest.
No, they don't. God.
Love that show, though.
It depending on the guest.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for Keanu.
Wow, I actually would have thought he would have been on it by now. Well, there you go.
I know, right?
You learn something new every day. Our next question from Bouncy McBoink Boink. Because friends don't do it enough, tell each other why you love being friends with one another / what qualities you like the most about each other. We're getting sappy on Monday, like the best maple trees on the side of the Mississippi.
I fucking appreciate this. This is good. This is a good one. This is a good viewer question.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to start? Go for it.
I was going to say, who wants to go first? And so the way we could do it is like Sin and I are both like, all right, let's talk about Endo first. And then we adjust. Or one person can go and just give their answer about both persons.
That's what I was thinking. Easy.
Okay. Endo, let's have you go first. your favorite qualities about each of us / why you love being friends with us.
I like Tougie because he got me a job.
That's not a quality.
Employmentship. No, I like Toog mostly because he's helped me out with certain things. Off the cusp of the top of my mind, it's related to having this awesome opportunity to do a podcast for one. Two, laughing at my shitty ass jokes. And three, genuinely just being there when I need someone to talk to or anything to vent to, or 3-4 a.m. we're both talking about random shit, and he's like, hey, listen, I gotta get this shit off my chest. I'm like, go off, Queen, just fucking go for it. Like let it all out. And it's just like a fucking script of like words being like this. I'm like, damn, bro, that's a lot of words. No, one thing I like about
I'm not going to read all that, but I'm sorry you're happy that happened.
Yeah, and I always summarize like, so here's what I'm trying to get. It's like one sentence, or like, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel. I'm like, yeah. Sin, I haven't got to know you that much, honestly, compared to like Toog. But I like the way that you're very passionate about certain things. You're very passionate about
I like
pizza.
The way you yell at me during each show.
Yeah. I like the way I get verbally chastised about literally anything I do wrong whatsoever, 24/7, 365 of the time, No, generally, like I like the way that you kind of like you're very opinionated, you're very not like set in stone, but like you really listen to other people's opinions as well too, and you seem like a nice good old friend. I'm glad that Tougies, Cody himself, I'm going to say your real name, as brought me together, and made us all sit together in a fucking Zoom call and record a podcast once or twice every week. I appreciate you.
That was very nice, Endo.
That was very nice.
Sin, you want to go next?
Yeah. I will say I appreciate Tougie and our now quite long friendship, which is a trip to think about. The fact that we met, I think, during... I like categorize it through which NHL game we met through, honestly. I think it was like NHL 17 was when we first met, and we're going to do like a collab that never came to fruition. Because this fucker spent 2 hours farming first round picks that he could flip for players.
That's totally
legit. I legit thought he fucked with me. I thought that I'm like, oh, there's another member of the NHL community who wants nothing to do with me. Cool. And he started his channel after me too, fucker. And then he texts me at 4 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry, I got carried away. I'm like, oh, I shut down my Elgato hours ago. But no, ever since we had one very late night where we just spent hours looking at squatting Slavs in tracksuits and sending them back and forth. Ever since that moment, I knew I found a kindred spirit in humor. And then as we've continued to be friends, I noticed how much we have in common. And the thing that I appreciate about him the most, I would say, is that he's a very genuine person. He's very real, and he'll say what's on his mind, which I love about human beings. And I think one of my favorite things about how our relationship has kind of progressed is that neither one of us are really afraid to check the other one in instances where we know we're not being our best selves or something like that. Just say I'm. There you go. How does it go?
Oh my god, is that Life of Boris?
like what happened recently when I'm getting angry and I had just been recording Be a Pro and I was still in Be a Pro mode and I actually got too hyped in my frustration, and he's like, yo, chill. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I appreciate that shit. It's just those little things where you're to that point in the friendship where it's I don't know how else to describe it. It's you check each other when it needs to be done. And I feel like I can be honest with him. And I know he's going to be honest with me. And when it comes to Endo, I think he sucks amazing dick. No.
I'm the best, brother. I'm the best.
For real. It is true. I do shit on Endo a lot when we're playing Eastal. The Transformer, dude, that always gets me.
Slab former.
This is why you watch the video portion, everybody, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
No, I appreciate Endo. He brings this energy that really I really fucking appreciate it. It's this, I don't want to say youthful, but it is. He has such like an innocent soul to him in so many ways, and it's like it makes it really, when I like sit back and reflect on it, I'm like, I really appreciate the little things when like, yeah, I don't know, it's just you have this kind of spirit and energy about you where it's like, I'm really trying to put it into words, but it makes it puts me in this spot where like when I just reflect on these little things in the little moments, it really helps. All right, it really helps to ground me actually and help me be present. You would just have this energy about you, and and I appreciate how you oftentimes never take shit seriously, and even in situations where I might take things seriously, I'm like, they don't need to be. Like, yeah, like in Ishal, I'm just like, fuck.
He comes back.
Yeah. But it's like,
Yeah,
no, yeah. I think that's my favorite quality about Endo, is that like he's such a kind of a free spirit, and a very, very much, I hate to use the phrase, but kind of like a childlike wonder to him. And that reinvigorates. I know it's such a weird phrase to use, but he has that vibe and that spirit. And I like that.
It's funny to me because half the time it's like Endo Gilbert Gottfried. He's just like, fuck her in the pussy. Like, on a nightly basis. And then he
Yeah.
No, it comes from perspective of not really. My mom hates that quality about me the most of anything else. I just don't really give a fuck, and that's probably the reason why I just really don't give a fuck. Like, as again, like we said in the beginning of the show, life is short. Fucking have fun, enjoy yourselves. That's why I'm willing to be the butt of the joke like 99.9% of the time, because if my little joke or whatever, or little something at my expense can make someone feel a little bit better, as long as the way it's not being really disrespectful towards me or like anyone else, fucking go at it. Like, comedy is subjective. Humor is something that everyone needs in their life. Don't go too crazy with it, because I'm the one who goes crazy with it. That's my territory. Stop it. No. But honestly, yeah, that's kind of the reason I'm the way that I am. I think Polina just fell off the bed. Yeah, I just heard a thud. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Sorry.
Yeah, keep it down.
Fucking loud thud. So it's either her or it's someone upstairs, probably the dog or whatever. But yeah, I don't keep shit serious because there's no real purpose for it. Why are you gonna get mad over some small shit, right?
That it's funny because humor is like literally the foundation of our friendship. Sin told the story essentially of like, oh, okay, we were both on YouTube and that's how our friendship started. I don't have that exact moment with Endo. It's just like, it just feels like you've just been here forever.
He just hung around enough, and then we adopted him.
Yeah, like I don't like legitimately like. There are friendships that I've made through Twitch and YouTube where it's like, oh, okay, I can kind of trace back to how that started, type of thing. Architect will always tell the story. Again, for those that occasionally watch us play Ishal, you'll be well familiarized with him. Where he and I had a mutual friend, as how I'll phrase it at this stage, unfortunately. And we all played Battlefield together. And Architect's like, this guy's a fucking dick. He always tells that story. He's like, I fucking hate this guy. But then we discovered like the foundation of like, that's our friendship is just ragging on one another the entire time, which is very similar, obviously, to like Endo and I. And yeah, with Endo, it's just been one of those things where it's like, I don't remember how this friendship started, but it's just, it's one of those where it's just like, yeah, no, it makes sense type of thing.
Yeah. So I have selective memory, and I can tell you exactly how we met. And
I'm excited.
Yeah. So you were playing NASCAR, one of the old NASCAR games on the Xbox, and you had the wheels set up, and I was a raid from Deke Slayer. He's like, I don't know, they got Tougie 24 is ruining whatever. Like, let's go. And then we go over there, And that's my headcanon for Deke. It's pretty good, isn't it?
Turkey baby.
Turkey baby, let's go. He's gonna hate this. And then I showed up in chat. I'm like, oh sweet, you're playing like NASCAR, like Thunder, like 2000 and it was 2001, 2002. Because I used to play that on my PS2 because it was a game that my dad gave me when I was
Should have
super
been
young.
Hydro Thunder.
Yeah. Before he left. No. Because it was like it reminds me because when you're in the cockpit view and the picker is going over and they jump on the hood, it looks like I always thought they were kind of like monkeys because they jump on the hood and like just do a little fucking whatever on top of the hood. I was like, I remember that joke, and you made that joke, and you're like, oh shit, like, it kind of is like that. And then it was a NASCAR Heat 5 stream, and you're like, people come in and play whatever. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in there, and I had to sit through the other Cody blasting the fucking voice chat with whatever nonsense and to sit through, and then we just kind of just started chilling. And after that I was like, yo, if you want to hang out with me, that's cool. And then I mentioned that I did some work for editing, and then I did brief editing work for you and haven't done anything since. And
we're still waiting for that best of July 2021.
July 2021.
There was the one moment I think that really solidified it. There was a Twitter troll. I feel like, and the timeline might be a little bit off for me, but in general, this was around the time of, and not to get like super serious about it, but this was around the time of like the George Floyd thing. And then in NHL, there was the big push of people like myself, Jesse Blake, so on and so forth, of just like, can we please try to fucking stamp out people with racist names in the NHL community? Can we please try? And you were tweeting about stuff like that, and somebody responded like, oh, another white knight. And your response to him was like, brother, I'm black.
My N-word, I'm black. And then,
that night, you were on F1. I rated you. And the first thing I said was, oh my God, you're black? You had a webcam. And nobody else got the joke, I don't feel like.
No one else
you and
did.
I
They were
knew.
so confused. And I was just pissing myself trying to finish the one lap.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. I think
Core
that
memories.
was also during a 24-hour stream that I held, like a subathon, because I just got diagnosed with fucking COVID and I couldn't work. And I was like, I have to pay my bills. Fuck it. I'm going to be up anyway. Might as well just kill myself and hop on stream and stream for 24 hours. And it was the worst 24 hours of my life. I got like $20 out of it, so it wasn't even fucking worth it. But yeah, that's how we met. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, like for us, it's just been such a natural friendship. Like, as we've talked about things, it's like, okay, we have that in common. We have that in common. Like, you and I joke consistently on stream. Like, we are the same person in so many ways.
Yeah.
And it's just been, I got to agree with Sin. It's just that idea of like the sense of humor just works. It's just one of those things where we're just so alike that it's never like, there's never really been a moment where it's like, oh, this guy fucking pisses me off. But it's like, oh, we're friends. I got to deal with it. You know, there's the pissing me off of like, oh, cool. He's deking at the blue line again.
There you go. Yeah. There we go. Now I'm just like you. I'm just,
dude.
Just white.
Oh my
there
God.
We go. Now we're the same. Sorry. You can't make your screen.
I didn't know you were
darker.
memeing. I thought you were just messing with settings again.
No.
Yeah, okay, that's the one thing. After every Ishil game, you have to change your build, you dickhead. Why?
Hey, half the time I'm not even changing the build. I'm just looking at the attributes. I'm like full stop. Half the time when I'm looking into there, I'm not changing anything. I'm looking at the attributes. Especially now that I don't have my shit set up the way it used to be. I'm just like, all right, cool.
Where the builds don't matter the builds are made up and the attributes don't matter.
Yeah, the only thing that matters is how fucking hard you throw it back and you flip over like 3 fucking defensemen. It's crazy. But yeah, that's appreciate y'all.
Trying to think because it's always difficult to describe people, but I feel like for Endo we've summed it up pretty well. For Sin, it's going to be a really similar story where, again, the sense of humor, we are really aligned in very numerous personal opinions, morals, like belief. Like, it's just, we are, again, very, very similar people. And that's kind of what Sin was alluding towards, is the idea of like, oh, okay, we start off with like, oh, I like hockey. And then you start, you become better friends over the years. And it's like, oh, okay, cool. These things really, really line up. And then obviously we were good friends anyway, over the last couple of years. But then once we started making the pilgrimage to the Holy Land, over the last year and a half or so, having taken 3 trips to Finland, and like you said, this will be your first now coming up next month, where it's like, all right, cool, you're going on your own type of thing, which again, I'm very, very happy for you.
It is weird though, because I'm gonna be like, when's Tougie getting here?
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, cool. When are we gonna go play floorball or hit up Shing? But
yeah,
hopefully soon, and it's the type of thing too where, that first trip, we've always joked about it. I was not prepared. I thought I was prepared to travel to Europe. I was not fucking prepared. My fucking phone didn't work. My fucking cards didn't work.
Yeah, I was Tougie's daddy for that.
You were like, you were Papa Sin for that entire goddamn trip.
Here, let me give you my hotspot. Let me pay for this. PayPal me later.
That's exactly what it was. Like, we'd go out to eat, you'd pay for it, and I'd immediately get on my phone that you were hotspotting so I could fucking use it and PayPal you the money. It was a fucking nightmare, and I felt so goddamn bad. And while you'll say like, it's not a big deal, I believe it, but there's also a part of me where it's like, inside, he's just like, this motherfucker.
No, the only thing I was annoyed about was that my hotspot would like keep shutting off for you, and then you had to ask me. And then I knew that I knew that made you feel like shitty, that you had to ask me again for the hotspot. And like, yeah, because again, we're very similar in ways. We're like, let me not inconvenience this person with this very menial request.
Yeah, so that was fun. And then obviously this past February, we were there, and I got to bring my fiance with me, and for a good portion of that trip, because it's fucking 0 Celsius or lower, for the majority of that trip, it just felt like we played a lot of Mario Party on the couch of the Airbnb.
Yeah,
which was great fun as well. It's really been, I'd say, in the last year and a half, 2 years, where it's really solidified as like, yeah, this is a fucking really solid friendship. And like you said, for the reasons of like, all right, if one of us is taking something too seriously, try to balance each other out. It's just, again,
and I'm sorry to cut you off, but that we have such a natural chemistry in that light when like one of us is clearly getting so fucking tilted, the other one automatically takes the opposite stance because they know they want to help the other person. Like, I remember it happened in you, and then when we were getting lost trying to look for the venue in February, I was the one freaking out, and you were the one being like, "It's all right, forward we go." And I'm like, "This is interesting. It's usually the opposite." And it's cool.
Yeah, that's honestly one of my favorite things that's happened over the last few years. Not so much because it's like, okay, cool. We were looking for this venue that we were going to be broadcasting in last February. We get fucking lost because what door we were supposed to go into was very unclear. So we're walking along the left side of this gigantic convention center, and the sidewalk is cordoned off. And it's like, well, we're Americans in a foreign country. We don't want to break the rules. So little did we know, if we walked about 100 feet further down that sidewalk, there was the door. So we turn around and walk all the way around this building. We walk into a parking lot, get through the parking lot, find out it's fenced off. So we had to turn back around. Sin was the, this fucking sucks, motherfucker, God, fuck it. And I'm just like, we're going to make it. Which, again, is maybe the one time. It's not the one time, but it's the best example of that dynamic flipping, like you said. And that's basically, I feel like, the best way I can kind of sum things up is like, as you get older, right? Like, you think back to certain friendships, and I view a lot of my friendships now, whether with people online or off, and, it's one of those things where I don't have friends where I have to make it work. And I feel like when you're younger, that's often a thing of like, oh, okay, well, I got to put in like this effort level to continue this friendship because it's the end of the world if I'm not friends with somebody anymore.
Mhm.
Nowadays, it's just like, no, like I hang out with people where it's this seamless thing. Like there's no energy to be required. Like we get along, we mesh well, and that sums up both of you very, very well. For a lot of the same reasons, for some different reasons at the same time. It goes pretty much with every aspect. Like I think about, the woman I'm marrying in 3 weeks. And that was just kind of the realization of just like, oh, you have to put the work in a relationship, but it's not effort, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just one of those things where it's like, no, we just go together perfectly. Like, it's the type of thing where I've seen friends' relationships where it's like, oh yeah, we got in this argument the other day, raising our voices at one another. It's like, that's never happened to me in 3.5 years. It's just that type of stuff. And then the same thing goes with friendships. Like, I don't recall ever having a serious argument or disagreement with either of you, which is marvelous, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, you don't want that dynamic of like, fuck you too. Oh, I'm sorry, man. Oh, I'm sorry too.
Yeah, that's toxic shit.
Yeah,
Unless you're
it's
Reaver.
just
Unless you're Reaver.
yeah, he's the one. He's the one that we put up.
I think that's his love language, honestly.
It is.
Yelling.
It is. He
Yeah.
lives the New Englander gimmick. That's just him.
You reach a certain point in life when you're just like, yeah, friendship shouldn't be effort, and you're totally content and like comfortable in your own skin, where it's like, if a friendship is working based on the fact where you don't worry about it, where you're just like, you're just naturally who you are. And it's great to get to that point in life, because some of those early friendships in your late teens, early 20s are interesting points in your life.
Yeah, I mean, too, like at that time, right? It's like, all right, people are changing a lot. Like that's one of those things that I think everyone eventually, or most people, some people don't, and that turns into a negative thing. But most people realize, like, hey, we're different people than when we became friends. Yeah, and now we don't really mesh too well together, and that's okay. Yeah, that's a hard thing to eventually accept. Like there are people where it's like, I'll still. Yeah, like I have Facebook essentially for my parents at this point and other older family. But I'll still have friends on there from like back in high school. But it's like, I haven't talked to you in forever. If I were to run into you in the grocery store, it'd be like, oh, hi, how are you? Good. How are you? Cool. Well, good seeing you again. And that's it. Because it's just, different people from when we met. And that's to go along with Endo's existential crisis. Like, that's just a part of life. Is just like, oh yeah, okay, cool. Some things aren't. Endo and I, things aren't going to last forever. And Endo and I have bonded over that as well with the death of certain YouTube channels. That's been another part of the friendship.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, the question of the week on a Monday goes to Bouncy McBoink Boink. That was fun. Yeah. That was fun. From Wheelchair Hulk. This is a hockey-related question on a hockey podcast.
Yeah.
Air quotes on that. With Tampa looking screwed without Vasilevsky, would you leave him on LTIR for the season and acquire a real starter, or hope to tread water and not be completely out of it when he comes back? So to clarify the with Tampa looking screwed comments, so far this season, through 3 games, they have 2 points, 1 win, 2 losses, and no overtime losses. Obviously, the biggest thing for them is that, hey, Andrei Vasilevsky is out. As it is, they ran in goal last night. Matt Tompkins, a 29-year-old who made his NHL debut after being a 7th-round pick in 2012 by Chicago.
Nabby.
He has AHL experience, ECHL experience, and spent the last 2 seasons in Sweden with Frölunda and Färjestad, or the Färjestad, and didn't do too well. Jonas Johansson hasn't done too well in his 2 starts. Stamkos looking less than 100%, a little bit roughed up. But at the same time, you still have Nikita Kucherov. You still have Victor Hedman, who leads all defensemen in points right now through 3 games. I mean, I feel like if you're Tampa, you got to try to eventually find another goalie who can maybe make things work. Whether or not it's a low-end trade or waiver wire, I feel like that roster is still strong enough that if you make the playoffs, you could do something. I don't think it's necessarily worth taking a year off at the same time. There have been teams in the past where they've taken a year or two off from being contenders and then go right back to being contenders.
Mm-hmm.
Boston Bruins being the best example that I have, where there were 2 years in the mid-2010s where all of a sudden, they're not making the playoffs. They barely miss, from my recollection. And in one of those drafts, they ended up with David Pastrnak. So it's one of those things where it could go either way.
Happens a lot. Like that kind of situation happens a lot. Sharks did that, missed 1 year, drafted Timo Meier, made the Cup finals the next year.
Right. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, I think it comes down to, there's no right or wrong answer. I do think it just comes down to like, okay, you're a fan of the Lightning. What do you think? What would you prefer them to do, essentially? And I'd still probably want them to push. And then if it turns out they're not good enough, then hey, the Lightning have been pretty decent at drafting. So
it's very early, man. Like they're 1-2-0, but their goal differential is only -3. It's not like they've been completely out of games. So I don't know. I think that's a question better asked in like 10 games.
Yeah,
and you'll see what they are.
I was thinking about that for the show, and it's just like, do we talk about like certain stats? And it's like, it's too early. Like some teams have only played 2 games. They have 80 to go. It's the middle of October. So, one of those things. Wow, we actually have quite a few questions here, unless people were just using this.
Don't stop the sim and check stats till the end of November.
There you go. That's always December 1st. That's the first stop date.
Yep.
Oh, boy. All right, here comes Piney. You've been kidnapped by a wizard and are forced to be his experiment. But to be kind, he lets you make your choice. He's either going to grant you with one ability from a Pokemon of your choice. However, you'll have your head, upper torso, or lower torso changed into the part of the Pokemon that you choose. What ability are you taking, and which part of your body will you have changed into the Pokemon that you took said ability from?
He's just said head, torso, and what?
So basically, head, upper torso, or lower body. So 3 quad: head, torso, legs, waist down.
Okay.
So you have to make that sacrifice if your appearance changes a bit, but you do get the ability of said Pokemon.
Which Pokemon has the biggest cock? Magikarp? Fuck! No.
Hey, it evolves into a Gyarados, okay?
Yeah.
Splash! You're reaching, I'm teaching. Splash!
Yeah, turn me into Chris Snoop so I can make thousands a month making videos. Hell yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
I get dibs on Ditto. Fuck you guys.
But would you only be... Oh, well, no, that's right. You'd get the ability to do it. Okay, so that's the question, though. That's the cheat code.
Yeah,
so if you're Ditto, does only the 2/3 of your body change into what you're trying to mimic? Or do all 3 parts change? And you circumvent the rule.
I would choose Ditto, and yeah, I would have my head change. Because then if my head's Ditto, I can make my head turn into fucking anyone. Like that'd be sick. I'd be the coolest spy on the planet, just being able to morph my identity, choose similar body types, easy enough. Great cheat code, Endo. I'm taking it. It's my answer.
I'm going a different route with Ditto. Because it hasn't been clarified as to whether or not that part of the body stays the same. So if I'm Ditto, but then again, but Ditto doesn't have the ability. Because I was thinking, like, if I'm Ditto, but then I, like, mimic a Charizard, would I still have the abilities of Ditto? I was trying to think of a way that I could be, like, a Charizard with, like, a water gun or a Razor Leaf it'd be Razor Leaf, right? Because that way I could kill the Wartortle on the other side while still being Charizard with my abilities to then kill the Bulbasaur or whatever. Fuck. But yeah, no, Ditto's probably the answer. Unless it's like, oh, cool, I'm a Ditto with the Charizard tail. You know? Like, does the Charizard tail stay no matter what? So it's like if I'm like a fucking Pidgey, do I have this gigantic ass dragon tail with me at all times? How does this work?
Ditto. It's a literal copy of.
I know what Ditto is, but what I'm saying is a part of the question was that you have to change 1/3 of your body. So does that 1/3 always stay the same, or does it change with Ditto's ability?
With me, it's giving me my head, but it's gonna be me with the Ditto eyes. That's all it's gonna be.
Small beady eyes.
I take the form of Sonic the Hedgehog ice cream. Fucking gumball.
That's what I would do, dude. Get the ability to transform, and then I could just mimic my own head if I want to, mimic other people's shit.
You just have the fucking 2 dots and this fucking smiley mouth. Oh,
God. Yeah. See, I take these questions too damn seriously. I always try to find the loophole that I can.
The Ditto one is the best loophole.
It is. It is. Although
like, hell,
really quickly.
Dude, you know how much cheese you could do with the Ditto thing? Just change your goddamn appearance. Rob banks legally. Change my appearance to goddamn some rando stock trader, see what they're doing, make tons of money. Insider trading, baby. I'm basically be a politician.
Fucking got him.
without having to be there.
There you go. Well, I mean, half the time they don't show up to.
Yeah, that's true.
They're supposed to be anyway. Fucking got him again. Anyway.
Why are his eyes so out of place?
Our next question comes from BK. Have it your way. Could you see EA Sports losing the NHL contract in the near future?
Absolutely not. The NHL doesn't care.
no.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like, you consider the conversation. I'm taking this picture now. You consider the conversation surrounding Madden and everyone being like, please, for the love of God, somebody make a football game. And Madden securing the license for a sim-based game, which, LOL. It's one of those things where it's like, man, if Madden hasn't experienced that, I just can't imagine the market being there for it to happen on the NHL side of things, you know? And the idea is, how would that transition even happen? Like, would it be a 2K going, we have gotten exclusive rights, so NHL 25 is going to be the last one? Or would it be EA stops with NHL at like 25, and then all of a sudden you get NHL 2K28 a couple years later because they take up the mantle? And just how damaging would that be? Short term, maybe long term. Maybe long term it would be the better thing because there'd be a lot of hype for a new developer. Unfortunately, we're just out of that freaking era where it doesn't matter if it's the video game world or what it is. Like, you're seeing fewer and fewer examples now of what they call challenger brands. It's all about consolidation. It's all about the one thing, the one place for the one thing. Whether or not that's mixed martial arts in the UFC. Are there other brands? Sure. But let's be honest, they're not touching that fucking company in terms of profits, its marketability. That is the one thing. And sports video games have certainly been the same thing. NBA 2K has been the one thing for almost 5 years now. And really, it's been more so like 10 that it has really been kind of uncontested in the marketplace. I know there's been some NBA Lives, but they haven't stuck. For the FIFA/FC side of things, Pro Evolution Soccer or eFootball has fallen off a fucking cliff in terms of being a viable contender.
You know what's funny about FIFA? There are now things happening with EA and FIFA in which FIFA is basically being like, hey, do you guys want to do the World Cup again in like 2 years? Like, do you guys really want to like do a World Cup? Because we need money. We realize how much money we could have gotten and how much money we asked was a lot of money, but now we want you guys to do the FIFA World Cup licensing back in your game. So EAFC the next EAFC game in the next 2-3 years might have FIFA World Cup back in the game. Which is hilarious. because they realized how much they fucked up with asking for, what was it, like $500 million like per year or something like that to pay out. And it's like, we don't, like, EA doesn't even need the FIFA branding to be a popular brand. We're still playing EAFC. We're in like the elite division for pro clubs, and we're still playing it like
top tier, baby.
Yeah, top 2%. I feel fucking wow.
I still need Sin to try playing FC. It is one of the it's not for everybody, but holy shit, when I say like the dopamine hit of this game of pro clubs, like when it's on point, it is the most fun gameplay experience I still have to this day.
All right, well, I need to give it a try.
Yeah, again, it won't be for everybody. Like, you guys are aware of my buddy Dave that we play Ishul with sometimes. She's just like, nah, it's just there are too many boring parts for him. And I'm like, yeah, cool, it's not for everybody. But at the same time, when you go on a run, it's just like Ishul. When you go on a run, and we did last over the weekend, we had a late night FIFA night, and we
I saw that.
crushed
I was
it.
like, what the fuck? How was I already asleep?
It's so satisfying. To finish that point though about the games, it's been almost 20 years since we've had a legitimate video game scene where there's 2-3 different games for essentially every sport.
Yeah.
You talk about NHL, and there's a lot. I'm not going to name all of them, but you had EA, 2K, 989 Sports, all making NHL games. You had Madden and freaking NFL 2K and Game Day and Quarterback Club and all of the, those days are just gone.
Yeah.
So could I see EA Sports losing the NHL contract? Yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No, because that's just not how things go anymore. Jesus Christ, we still have some questions to get to, and we're about an hour into the show. I'm having fun, though. Let's keep it going. From Scroopy Noopers, question for the podcast. You're starting your own rock band. Who would you rather pick as the lead singer? And he's gone with a grunge theme. Lane Staley, of course, famously known from Alice in Chains. Eddie Vedder of the Pearl Jam variety. Or Kurt Cobain of the Nirvana variety.
I like he says Lane Staley, Eddie Vedder, Kurt Cobain, or Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, I didn't mention that particular deal. Are either of you guys a fan of the freaking Washington-based grunge scene? Because my reaction, or based off of Sin's reaction, my instinct is to say, it's just not his jam.
You can't fucking say grunge and anything like that and not have Chris Cornell as a fucking option. That's a travesty. You're gonna have Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains singer over those guys. Okay.
I feel like he made that mistake and meant to put Chris Cornell there for Soundgarden. I feel like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Otherwise, yes, that's a pretty rough. Thing.
I feel like grunge is one of the weaker genres of all time, just in general. But yeah,
fuck you, buddy.
Just saying.
We have an open casting call for a third member of this podcast.
Grunge is simply...
I'm not getting replaced. Yay!
Grunge is a weak genre. I like it sometimes for the nostalgia hit alone, but I couldn't get into some of that. I even forget the band's name, but they had a great song. And I only knew this one song. Fucking what I really meant to say is I'm sorry for the way.
Don't you fucking cold.
Yeah, I can play that song on guitar.
At least
it's just I don't know. There's some good songs, but I just don't, and I don't like that singing style much either. The mouth closed, forcing the grit. All the vowel sounds are the same.
It's Crossfade, by the way. Crossfade.
Crossfade. That's the only song I know by him. It's a good song. It's a great song. It's nostalgia.
Classify that as grunge?
It's grunge or post-grunge. It's around, early 2000s and late 90s. That's what I consider that sort of grunge, post-grunge era.
Fair enough.
What else would it be? Alternative rock? That's such a generic ass title.
That's a catch-all for sure.
Yeah.
So it's funny because right from the music perspective, I've always kind of said this, I don't give a shit what you like. I'm never going to call like, oh, that song sucks. It's always that song sucks to me, which is why we used to have a meme on stream of everyone being like, here's $25. Listen to a Florida Georgia Line song all the way through. Just because it's like that is just not for me. It just isn't. At the same time, we've talked about, how music tastes are formed, right? How like video game soundtracks, especially like affected music tastes for a lot of people our age and based on what soundtracks would have been. Between that, my dad was on the radio at the time. It's like, that's my jam. That's my jam. I will say grunge as a genre is top heavy though. Like there's the big bands at the top, but then if you listen to some of the lesser knowns or the second, third tier type of grunge acts from the time, there's some gold. Not because it's good, but there's some gold there. God, if I had to choose though, I mean it is Chris Cornell as a vocalist because Jesus Christ. Out of the three, though, that he listed between Lane Staley, Eddie Vedder, Kurt Cobain, I go with Lane Staley, because that was a very troubled man. Not that Kurt Cobain wasn't, but that was a very troubled man who you could hear the pain, whereas Kurt Cobain hides the pain through "My Libido, a Mosquito." It's a little bit different. Yeah.
He hated that song, by the way.
Well, that was the whole point of the song, right? Is I can just sing whatever the fuck I want as long as it sounds cool. People will like it. There you go. It's their most famous song.
Work.
I love Eddie Vedder. I love Pearl Jam. It's just.
Revolution, baby.
Have you ever heard Creed's song about the Marlins?
Let's play ball. It's game
Let's game day.
On strikeouts, something double plays.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then he says, "Soar, Marlins, soar!" Like they
Hear
fucking
the
have
roar
wings.
of the crowd. Come on, Marlins, make us proud. It's like he really strains his fucking
He's like,
voice.
can you take me higher?
I don't know who strains their voice more. Fucking Scott Stapp or the dude from Puddle of Mud.
Puddle of Mud.
Puddle of Mud.
Dude, the
What a
fucking
fucking
guy.
name.
What is it? Freaking, what the fuck was that guy's name? Wes Scantlin. Did you ever see Wes
They
Scantlin?
had the trashiest names too. Every single grunge guy somehow had the trashiest name on the planet.
Wes Scantlin. Oh my
Wes
god.
Scantlin.
Scott Stapp, Wes Scantlin.
If you've never seen Wes Scantlin's attempt at a certain Nirvana cover, save your ears and don't do it. I encourage you not to listen. He had a day. He had a day.
Yeah,
looks like
kinda
a
Scott
coked out
Stapp's
Adam
day
Copeland. What the fuck?
trying to sing the national anthem at NASCAR or whatever the fuck.
Oh
it
my
was
God,
so
yeah.
bad. So bad.
We'll move on to our next question from Big Boy, also related to NHL 24. Given the current state of the game, would it benefit EA to take a year off, similar to how 2K did with WWE, in order to make sure a game like 24 doesn't happen again? Yes,
They can't.
of course.
And they
Will
won't
that
do it.
happen? Absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
You know what their year off was? NHL 23.
You know
Not
that-
even joking.
That's the problem. You're right. I will say it's not entirely EA's MO to not do that, because they did technically do it with UFC, but UFC has never really been a yearly release game. Like, it was close when THQ had it, but it hasn't been an annual release. Every single sports game, regardless of what it is, would benefit from being a bi-yearly release. That is just a fact. But companies will not do it, given how much money they would be leaving on the table, even though that is a short-term view, because your games would be more critically acclaimed, and I feel like more people who have kind of just stopped playing would be more willing to go back if it was a bi-yearly release with more changes. To Endo's point, though, it is openly acknowledged essentially at this point that NHL 23 was the off year. They said it and they forgot it intentionally to then make the big changes that they wanted to make for 24, while doing essentially the bare minimum of keeping 23 operable and so on and so forth. And unfortunately, it still wasn't enough time. Like, my standpoint on this is they still, like, I respect the ambition. I think they bit off more than they could chew, unfortunately, and the game is really fucking suffering because of it. At the same time, it's also suffering because you have to think about this. Right now, 24 is in the state that it's in. They are working on trying to improve 24. While also, you have some members of the team who are still working on 23 and keeping that up and running and operational. And they're already working on 25. I am not happy with the state of the game whatsoever. People are well aware of that at this point. At the same time, I do not blame the dev team directly. I blame EA.
Yeah.
I blame the executives making the decisions of, hey, we need a yearly release here. I blame the executives who are not, and hopefully we don't have a tech error here. We'll see. I blame the executives who are not giving them a fucking chance to succeed by not giving them the resources they need, the time they need, the money they need, because they are in a fucking unwinnable situation. I will still criticize and critique the product that is out there because it deserves it. But at the same time, I empathize with that dev team because they are in a fucking unwinnable situation. And I have had conversations with members of that dev team, either about the game or just about whatever. And I genuinely do believe they are passionate people who want to do the best job they can. They are not being put in a position to do the best job that they possibly can right now. That's just a fact.
100% agree.
It sucks.
Yeah. I will say on that as well. I've already talked about it here on previous episodes of the podcast. The reason why the NHL dev team is so small is because the second that 2K said they weren't renewing the license publicly, the went out, NHL downsized their team into the NHL and UFC offices. And then UFC magically had their office and went, okay, cool. Why do you think the NHL and UFC offices are literally right beside each other? The wall that says NHL UFC is literally what used to be the NHL office.
Yeah, and I mean, I've been in that building in the past 2 months. And yeah, the fact is, like, that studio, both studios are on the same floor. It's the left side is the UFC, the right side's the NHL side. You know, as opposed to the UFC team having their own setup, the NHL team having their own setup. It's just, all right, we're on two different sides of the hallway, but we're on the same floor.
That's why 15 was a disaster. That's part of the reason why 15 was a disaster. And part of the reason why it's basically been catch up to the point that NHL 24 is almost a sequel to NHL 14 in a way. There are still features still missing from that game, but it's almost like it's basically almost as if it's taken a decade for us to get back to somewhere close to where we used to be 10 years ago.
Are we ready for our final question?
Yep. Jesus, still on viewer questions. That's nuts.
All right, gentlemen. Our final question here after over an hour on this show comes from Cynical Blues, and it will lead us into one of our other conversations that we had planned for this episode. Anyway, you're given the opportunity to change the goal song for any team in the league with the caveat that you can't use any songs that have previously belonged to other teams, i.e. The Dupe from Philadelphia. What's your choice? Now, the reason why I say this leads us into another conversation is in talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs, their goal song has already been canceled. Isn't that right, Endo?
Fucking boomers. So, if anyone knows anything about music, it's definitely the Toronto Maple Leafs who've used 2 goal horns out of the 4 they're supposed to be using for the entirety of the year. So, the first goal horn they used was Kid Cudi's Pursuit of Happiness. Pursuit of Happiness mixed by Steve Aoki. Now, the opening lyrics that were not used in the section that was, being used in the goal horn is crush a bit, little bit, roll it up, take a hit. Which is funny because the nickname for the Leafs are the Buds, because, the buds of a leaf. And then there's also stuff about like drinking and driving, all that stuff in there. That's one thing. Everyone's like, oh, the lyrics in the song are bad. But the section they used was the fucking chorus. And there's nothing profanity in the chorus whatsoever. If you want to go that far, the Toronto Marlies have been using a song called Black Skinhead as their fucking goal horn for the past 3 years up until Kanye West did Kanye West things. It didn't happen to change it until last year when he, did Kanye West things. I think it's funny in retrospect because when they used Black Skinhead in the AHL, everyone was like, okay, whatever, we don't care.
Yeah.
And they changed it to the fucking Dart song. That's what I'm calling it. Okay? You're up at fucking 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in Canada at least, watching Sportsnet, and you fucking world darts, him hitting the fucking targets and going 180, and you win, and you hear da 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 da. Oi, oi, oi! That's the goal horn. That's the goal horn they switched it to.
I just love that after all the controversy of the Leafs offseason and Kyle Dubas is gone, and should they re-sign Matthews? What trade Nylander? What's happened with Mitch Marner? They're 2 games into the year. Austin Matthews has back-to-back hat tricks, becoming the first player since Ovi to do it in 2017, and before that, it had been since before the forward pass was legal. And Leafs fans are like, but goal song controversy. It had to be the Leafs. It had to be the Leafs in this situation. And again, I'm at the point now with goal songs where I just say, unless you are a team like Boston or Chicago or whatever that has this super recognizable goal song that's a part of the mystique of the team at this stage, just go with the scenario like Buffalo, where every individual player has their own goal song, and be done with it. Just let the players fucking choose. Who cares? Sin, your thoughts on either the Leafs thing, the question? What's up?
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. Like, it's like, we don't like the message of this song, even though the whole song's not being played like that. That's so weird. It has some questionable undertones to it, in my opinion. But whatever. As of what I would want to change the Sharks' goal horn. What was the parameters of the thing? You said it can't be another team's goal horn, right?
Right. So like you couldn't pick like Chelsea Dagger.
Good.
Not that you would.
I want the old goal song back for the Sharks. It was so good. I don't know why they changed it to like Holiday, and then they changed it back, and then they changed it to something else. It was, I don't know the name of the song, but it's so recognizable. Hey!
Oh, it was just their modified version of rock and roll, whatever the hell.
You suck.
Gary Glitter.
It was so good.
I thought you were talking about shark.
No.
Baby shark, do, baby shark.
I mean, literally, that should be the goal song right now for like Eklund and Bordelot, and
that'd be hilarious if we had Baby Shark for them. I think they should have fun with it. I loved it. Was a couple years ago where every Shark had individual goal songs, and like Stefan Nason's was fucking Hakuna Matata. Logan Couture's was Girls Just Want to Have Fun.
That's amazing.
And Evander Kane's was that Mamba something?
Mamba was in the casino.
You know this? I don't know. I don't know the name of it, but I don't even know the words to it. I just know the melody.
So
it was cool with all the separate goal songs.
My biggest takeaway is like I want most teams to go back to their more familiar goal songs. I want the Canucks to use Holiday. I want the Flyers to use Dupe. I even want the Habs to have the actually the Habs' new goal song is all right, but the fucking song that they had in the mid 2010s. Like, oh god, nightmares of watching Milan Lucic threaten to kill Dale Weiss. Had to mention that 2 episodes in a row. Never forget. God, yeah, I want most teams to just go back to those more familiar goal songs, really. And that's just because I'm an old man who doesn't like change. There's my answer. It's funny, though, because with this question, right, in regards to the Leafs, I already mentioned that Austin Matthews, of course, had the back-to-back hat tricks, which is nuts. But there's another conversation surrounding the Leafs right now that's not just the goal horn. 2 games into the year, and we are debating the existence of Ryan Reeves. Should he or should he not exist is essentially the conversation going on within the freaking media side of things for Ryan Reeves. Mark Mathot arguing like, well, I played in the NHL and here's my opinion, so you should take my word for it.
Literally sourced, trust me, bro. Oh my fucking god. Oh, Mark Mathot.
The argument stems from the fact that from an analytical standpoint, from a game impact standpoint, Ryan Reeves is not all that effective of a player. He is only effective from an intangibles standpoint, from a what he brings to the locker room standpoint. The counter argument that people have is like, well, you can have players who have a positive impact on the ice and have those intangibles.
Yes. And you don't pay someone 1.3 mil for intangibles alone.
You already had Rich Kloon. I know he retired recently, but shit, you should have just had Rich Kloon on the team then. He provides the same thing. The good leadership, and he'll punch somebody in the fucking face. Why didn't you call up Rich Kloon all those years ago? You had the missing piece in the AHL with the Marlies. What's the matter with you?
The Leafs did the thing where they took a step backwards. They panicked.
Yeah.
Again, they keep panicking. And now they've completely thrown the process and the plan out the window and are just going to vibes. That's really what it is. We're picked up Ryan Reeves for the vibes, but they overpaid him. I'm sorry, 3 years at 1.3 for him at this stage in his career is a huge overpay.
Yeah.
And he's not even the toughest guy on the ice anymore. Arbor Jack, I ragdolled his ass. I don't care, Leafs fans. He tripped over the net. He got fucking ragdolled.
He got need. He got fucking need of justice. He fucking Captain Falcon on the ice there. Like, what the fuck? He's been useless. He got into a fight yesterday against his whole team.
He laid a real big, possibly questionable open ice hit, and that's like his shift, and the rest of the time he's hemmed into the defensive zone. There was a time when he was on Vegas where that line was actually kind of effective at times. And then he still provided the edge and the fighting, and that's all he is at this point. He'll lay a big hit. He can fight, a good locker room guy, but his line with him on it is bad.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, I don't think you can completely discount what someone like that can bring to a team, so to speak. At the same time, as has been discussed, it's just that idea of, man, you can have someone that provides both options, basically. And for Ryan Reeves and his kind of history at this point, first and foremost, good for him. Because I'm not going to hate on Ryan Reeves. Good for him having the fucking career earnings that he does. The reputation, like his reputation has preceded him for years now at this point. To the point where in June of 2017, the Pittsburgh Penguins gave up a first-round pick to acquire him. It was Ryan Reeves and a second for Oscar Sundqvist and what became Klim Kostin to St. Louis. And then before that following season was even done, in 2018, he was a part of a 3-team trade that sent him to Vegas. And then 2021, he's traded for a 3rd-round pick to the Rangers because the Rangers were like, oh, Tom Wilson made us look dumb. And then a year later, he gets dealt to Minnesota because they're like, shit, let's just get rid of the cap hit, basically. Yeah, I don't know. all I can say is good for Ryan Reeves. This will continue to be a conversation, but we're seeing a league right now where ineffective players are getting scratched. It might be more because of injuries, but Jeff Petrie is already a healthy scratch for Detroit tonight. Anthony Mantha has been healthy scratched by the Washington Capitals. Teams are not afraid at this stage to go ahead and just not ice players that are not being all that effective. But again, you'll always have that argument of, well, here's what he brings that won't show up on a score sheet. I personally like to subscribe to things that are actually quantifiable, but that's just me. I'm sitting here too, trying to find the information from the freaking Leafs Wild game that was out there in regards to the effect that each player had on ice. I can never remember what account that is, but bottom line is this argument's not going away. And this will be it for the Leafs. If they're winning, it's got to be, the goal song, Ryan Reeves, it's got to be something. And then if they're losing, it'll be fire the coach, trade this guy. Oh my God, what's going on? This is the Leafs effect. And, I remember listening to the Steve Dangle podcast for years and years, forever and ever, amen. From fucking day one. And I think it was on one of those first few podcasts that they made the joke, and it's still relevant to this day. The day after the Leafs win the Stanley Cup, there will be an article out, probably from someone like Steve Simmons, saying, well, here's why they won't win again next year. That is just Leafs fan base, the media surrounding the Leafs, summed up perfectly. It will always be something. And right now, because they're winning and Austin Matthews is killing it, it's got to be, Ryan Reeves. Let's fight each other to the death over that. Just how it goes. Elsewhere, we'll stay in Canada for a moment because there was some shitty news out of Montreal. Arpon Basu initially reported that Kirby Dach was going to be out with a significant injury. Eric Engels is reporting that it is a torn ACL and MCL. This sucks, man. Like, again, I'm not exactly a Habs fan, but I do like to see young players succeed, and Kirby Dach has looked damn good in a Montreal uniform so far. And at 22 years old, he'll turn 23 in January, to suffer an injury like this absolutely sucks.
Again.
And is a big
because he got hurt. He got hurt during World Juniors. He broke his wrist, and I felt sympathetic for the guy because I broke my wrist not the exact same way, but literally an almost identical break. And I was like, yeah, he's gonna be out for like 4 months. He may come back for like the end of the season or whatever. And like that's basically what happened. But now to go with the ACL and the MCL sprain, or tear, excuse me, that's bad. That's season ending for sure. There's not really much you can do about that. Sucks for the guy because he's finally on a team and he's gelling with the group and he's doing really well. They even have the fans have a chant where it's like Kirby Dach and just go off like that. It's fucking great. But I feel bad for him because now you're out, you're on the sideline, and it doesn't really look any better for the Habs and Habs fans entirely who, they were kind of like, this isn't really going to be our year, but it's going to be a long year for us. Your year just got even longer kind of thing.
And, again, not that you want anyone to get injured, but the fact that it's one of those young guys that they're building around really sucks. So best wishes to Kirby Dach again for a really, really unfortunate injury. There's a couple other notes that we can bounce around here for individual teams. Let's go to Carolina. Why not? We'll go geographically, east to west. The Hurricanes are in a weird spot right now.
Oh, yeah.
It was known that they were not going to have an AHL team heading into the season. That is now causing complications. excuse me for perhaps a mispronunciation, but there's a reporter, Tony Andrakidis, and if I'm wrong, let me know, who tweeted out today, hearing that several players Carolina tried to send to ECHL Norfolk refused to report.
Yep.
As a result, it looks like Noel Gunler is returning overseas, as his release from Karpat in Finland, Liga, states that he'll be there for the rest of the season. In addition to Gunler, it looks like another Finn, or at least Finnish, he's Swedish, but you get the point. Anthony Honka is also working on securing a contract to return overseas.
Yeah.
These are
Honka's Finnish.
These are two of Carolina's better prospects. One on offense, one on defense. And because of this whole AHL issue and having to potentially loan these players out to other teams, apparently people didn't have the spot for them. Why are we going to sacrifice our player development to get your guys in there? You now have two of your better prospects heading back overseas, which can be a good thing, can be a bad thing, but it's a pretty crucial time for both of them. Noel Gunler, 41st overall pick in 2020. He's now 22 years old. Played 31 games in the AHL last year. Again, he'll be back over in Finland.
22 and 23. Those are crucial years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Honka just turned 23 at the beginning of the month. He played 70 games, had 34 points in his rookie season in the AHL, which is not easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
This could be, it's way too early to tell, but this could be something that Hurricanes fans look back on to be like, oh shit, that's where things went wrong. Especially for a team that is still super, super competitive. You talk about wanting to continue being competitive. This is something that can hurt you if you stunt the development of certain prospects and then all of a sudden, oh, you don't have that next guy up to step into the lineup when you lose somebody. And there you go. Your window's shut. That could be the future for Carolina. Obviously, we don't know just how this will affect the team moving forward, but in the short term, not good.
Yeah, it doesn't benefit
proper
those
way to
guys to
label it.
play in the ECHL at all.
Yeah. So the fun thing about NHL contracts is that your agreement is technically with the NHL and the AHL. If you are told by your coach in the AHL or in the NHL that you need to report to the ECHL, you can opt out because that's not in your agreement. Your contract will not be prorated. The way it works is in the ECHL, they have like a weekly cap. It's completely different from the NHL and the AHL. The AHL does not have a salary cap, which is really interesting when you look at some perspective in certain contracts over there. AHL players can be paid literally whatever they want. You could have a guy making $8 million in the AHL, but that's not going to fucking happen unless you're Corey Schneider. And the more perspective on it is like if you opt out and say you're not going to go to the ECHL, you can basically fuck off and go anywhere, or you can be loaned out to another AHL team because Carolina does not have an AHL team because their former affiliate, Chicago, went private and they decided to do their own thing, which is causing a little bit of hiccups for certain developments, and that's why Carolina's kind of like having to put people down in the E. It's causing more problems on their end. So really interesting predicament. The bunch of jerks become even bigger jerks by not having another prospect pool to put things down to make the transition super easy, and they're probably going to regret this in about 2 or 3 years.
Again, just it's weird to see a team in a spot like this too, because it doesn't really happen too much anymore, but that's just where they happen to be at. I did finally find what I was looking for, by the way, in regards to Ryan Reeves, just to circle back on that. And it's from @HockeyStatCards on the Twitter side of things. And again, it's only the second game of the season, but it gives a good example as to game impact that players happen to have. And in their last game, Toronto versus Minnesota, Ryan Reeves was the lone player on the Leafs to have no positive impact whatsoever. He wasn't the only player to have negative impacts, especially from the defensive standpoint. They gave up 4 goals in that game, but literally every other player had some sort of positive impact in regards to either offense, defense, production, or even something miscellaneous, such as drawing penalties. That is the concern that people have in regards to Ryan Reeves. But yeah, he, Kampf, and Noah Gregor had a pretty rough game. And then, also, wouldn't you know it, John Klingberg was terrible defensively too. Whoever could have foreseen John Klingberg having a bad game from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, and may I just remind everybody that Nick Robertson had a 4-point fucking game on Sunday.
A 4-point game on Sunday in the A?
I'm pretty sure he had a 4-point fucking game. Yeah. I was at the game. I went to both games on the weekend. They lost the first game in overtime, 5-4, because it was 4-1. Because, of course, it's always fucking 4-1 with Toronto sports hockey teams. I don't understand what it is with it, but they won the second game 5-3. He had a 4-point fucking game. Currently leads the league in scoring right now, too. Just saying. Just saying.
Delightful. We'll move a little bit further west, talking about the Colorado Avalanche, who had a big win off the ice this past couple of days as they signed defenseman Devon Taves to an extension. He's making $4.1 million this year. His new deal, 7 years at $7.25 million. Endo, your thoughts on this? Because I know my thoughts.
Damn. Also, quick correction. Nick Robertson has 5 points over 2 games.
Even better.
Even worse. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, with this contract for Colorado, this remains one of the most ridiculous deals I think I've seen. They acquired him in October of 2020 for 2 second-round picks from the Islanders because the Islanders didn't have the money to pay him based on other contracts they handed out. Since going to Colorado, and look, you could argue, it's the Cale Makar effect. It's a combination of both, and the two of them bringing out the best of one another. Since he's become a member of the Avalanche, 31 points in 53 games, 57 points in 66, and then last season, 50 points in 80 games. He and Cale Makar are one of, if not the best pairings in the NHL, and that will continue to be a thing as, again, you look at the cap-friendly contract comparison for this, and you're looking at Mackenzie Weegar as the best match.
Mark Edward Vlasic.
Shockingly, no. No, in terms of the direct comparison based on like age and stuff like that. I like Mackenzie Weegar. But Travis Sanheim, Colton Parayko, Ryan Pulock on the Islanders, what Eric Johnson happened to get from the Avalanche in 2015. Compared to similar contracts in the last decade or so, it's 70% match for what Torrey Krug got in St. Louis, and we've seen how that's gone. This is just a really freaking good deal for Colorado. Good for Devon Taves to get paid. And yeah, that keeps the Avalanche in very, very scary shape with Taves and Makar still running as their top defensive pairing until at least 2027 when Cale Makar's deal is up. But it's a safe bet that he'll be re-signed. He'll only be 28 years old, by the way, when his deal is up. That man's going to make $11-12 million a season, especially if the cap goes up as people expect it to. So a big win for Colorado, and a good win as well for the Anaheim Ducks, who not only had some impressive younger players, Pavel Mintyukov, Jackson Lacombe picking up their first career points, but they also debuted their anniversary jerseys on ice. And these jerseys, my goodness, these jerseys, one of the best, if not the best outright in the NHL, as I've seen a lot of people say. And man, if this doesn't lead the charge for them to fully bring back the eggplant color scheme
God,
then
they have to.
I don't know what will, because I mean,
It's beautiful.
it's such a unique look in the
It's so
first place. I don't understand. Like, again, I have one of the orange jerseys hanging up on my wall behind me. I like it, but like this is the way to go if you are the Anaheim Ducks. I mean,
100%.
look at this freaking scheme.
It's
God.
unique. It's different, and it sets them apart. I hated when they changed to whatever they did once Disney stepped away.
God. Like,
They have to
just
bring those back full time.
do this, do that. The whites, keep the orange jersey. Like, because I don't know what it is, but just something about the NHL and not willing to like be risky with certain designs. Like, if you look at the ECHL and all the jerseys they have over there, it is insane. They will take liberties to do any sort of creative thing whatsoever. They had not even the ECHL, but the AHL also had the Springfield Thunderbirds did like a Springfield Isotopes game where they changed their jersey up completely. Like, I like when teams are willing to make certain changes and go off the wall, off the board. Like when the Penguins had their Star Wars night, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins had like a Baby Yoda like logo instead for their jersey instead of putting the penguin on there. Or they had a pizza night and it was a pizza instead of like the penguin on there. Like, be creative. Let fans have things. Let players enjoy these things as well. Like, I'm tired of the cookie cutter kind of bullshit. Like, they saw how successful the reverse retros were. They were beautiful. They still are beautiful. They should let these teams be more creative and go all out off the board and do like a unique year where like the entirety of like the homes and aways just kind of change up a little bit.
Preach.
Yeah.
I also wanted to mention about the Ducks as well, because I don't know if you guys saw it last night. There was a hip check from one Radko Gudas.
Of course.
The second we start calling out NHL 24 for having a hip check problem, there have been numerous highlight reel hip checks in the past week in the NHL.
Insane.
Just to make us look like dickheads for complaining. I'm upset about it, honestly. Like, I love a good hip check. I will say about the Gudas one, our argument holds up from the last show in regards to it being like a situational tool.
That's a good situation for hip check. Both he and Darlene were the situations that you hip check.
Yeah.
It's 100%. Not that you go ass first into the boards and trip a guy, which is how to, forecheck and play defense in 24 in a lot of ways.
Yeah. I do love, though, because it's the same kind of argument now as people get in regards to ice tilt. When it's like, oh, I outshot somebody 34-7 and lost 2-1, because there was a scoreline like that earlier this week too, where a team had like 35 shots to 18 and still lost.
Marley's.
You're always going to have those examples of like, well, it happens in real life, and it's like, yeah, but this is a video game, and video games are supposed to be cool.
Yeah, that almost happened to the Avalanche versus the Sharks, by the way. The Avalanche straight up poured on the shots on Blackwood. And it wasn't until the 50th shot on him, when the Sharks still had, I think, sub 20, that he was
That's
finally
actually the game
scored
I was
on.
thinking of too.
Yeah, but the Avs won in a shootout.
Yeah, but hey, Mackenzie Blackwood looked good.
Whew, I have not seen goaltending like that in a Sharks uniform in a long, long time. It was really a pleasure to get to see. It was hard to watch the Sharks get fucking, full pressure metered 100 times, but yeah. God, I could rant about the Sharks and
Go
early
ahead.
on.
This is your time. We talked about the Leafs earlier. I don't have too much to add about the Bruins. They've only played one game. They beat Nashville, which I'm happy about. Those are the gist of my thoughts.
I feel like Quinn has learned his lesson from the Rangers. He is really pushing to put Eklund and Bordelot in good offensive situations. He's got them both together on power play 1 now. He now has them both together on the second line after having them split. He put the first game he had Eklund with Granlund and Cunnin. How the fuck is that kid supposed to succeed with those two? And then now he has them two together with Hoffman. He has Bordelot and Eklund with Hoffman, which is better. And then he's got them both on PP1 now, which is yes. But yeah, the shootout went as follows. We put Barabanov out there, who deked in fucking slow motion. Eklund, who had a good attempt, but got poke checked, couldn't go 5-hole. And then Hoffman, who did this bizarre, it was just, Bordelot was right there, and he has scored in the shootout before. Hurdle is right there. He has a tremendous shot and release. And instead you go with Barabanov and fucking Mike Hoffman.
Yeah, but Mike Hoffman's good at one-timers.
Yeah, so put him in the shootout. Yeah, but oh man,
Oh, dude, okay. Go ahead.
I am so done with the Luke Cunnin experiment. Eklund and Bordelot, between them in one game, dropped him 3 or 4 dimes, and he whiffed every single time. He got on a breakaway against the Avalanche, took a shot, it was saved, and then he fell. The shot put him off balance, and he fell and slid into the net. And he couldn't clear the puck multiple times. I just don't see the value, and I feel like he's Quinn's Justin Hull, where he's just gonna love him and play him. I just don't get it. My dream line, honestly, is Eklund with Bordelot, and then put Giovanni Smith with him, because Giovanni Smith is an underrated fucking player. Watching him play, he's been one of our better players. He forechecks hard. He's actually decent with the puck. And I'm like, yeah, let Eklund Bordelot go to work. Giovanni Smith forecheck. Anyway, I can go off at a tangent. But yeah, somehow the Sharks have a point after scoring 1 goal in 2 separate games.
So what I'm hearing is that your dream shootout lineup is UC Okinen, Mike Hoffman, and Brett Ritchie.
No.
But what if the season's on the line? Who else but Ritchie?
Yeah.
Who else?
The ghost of Sutter.
Mikko
On his
Rantanen's shot,
ranch.
by the way, in the shootout was absolutely unreal. If you guys haven't seen it, look up the clip of it. It was the most deceptive release I've ever seen, and just sniped it. Like, it's such a sick play. Like, just watching that play and then compared with like all the Sharks attempts besides maybe Eklund's, who had a decent attempt. It was just a good move by Georgiev. The Rantanen's shootout shot is just the prettiest thing that you will see.
I just watched it. He makes it look so effortless.
I know. It was unreal.
Fair enough.
Like, I couldn't even be mad.
With that, there's only one other thing I kind of wanted to touch up upon. And that was, I've seen a lot of people kind of mention how weird and awkward the NHL scheduling is. We are recording this on Monday the 16th. There are 5 games tonight, all of them starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, with an Eastern team being the home team. We've already had a night, if not 2, of just 2 games on the schedule. It just makes me wonder, like, is it an issue with stadium availability? Is it an issue? Like, what is the issue here? Because, well, you can say that, and it's probably true that the numbers are low for people who would just go from one game to another. It is the start of the season. We're a week in. Like, you would think you would want as many games on TV as possible for people to be able to flip to capitalize on the hype of the new season. It's just weird to me that there's a night here that we have, and there's literally no Central or Western games and start times. It's just bizarre to me, is the only way I can I can phrase it.
They were staggering them for a minute, like in the beginning of the season. They were staggering start times, and now they're just like, nope.
I don't view it as this thing to be like, yes, big rant, big tangent about. But it does just seem like NHL. When will you figure it out type of thing? And
Yeah.
Lord knows they've had plenty of that. There was obviously more pushback on the whole Pride tape thing this week as well, which we'll see if they give in on that. But yeah, I don't know. It just seems to be like another weird quirk, although quirk almost makes it sound like a positive. I wouldn't call it a positive, but it's the NHL, and that's what they do. They do nonsensical things all the time. Gentlemen, with that, do we have anything else to add? Anything else in mind? Or shall we wrap up what has been a fun show to kick off the new week?
Yeah, it's been an interesting show. Honestly, one of probably the most introspective, retrospective ones we've had. Not even about hockey, just about everything else. Retro.
So the real question is
listen, Sin, motherfucker, don't you fucking...
You were doing so good. You said introspective, then you said retrospective. I was like,
okay.
Was there?
Okay. All right, we get it.
I mean, we did talk about the history of sports video games, kind of.
Bam.
Okay. All right. Yeah. You know
Got
what?
it.
You're welcome.
None of the doghouse. Let's go.
Get saved.
You're welcome.
Get saved, bitch.
Speaking of saves, and hopefully them not
His
being
name's
deleted.
actually Shindo Mills now.
Endo, if people want to watch you throw 1,000 slap shots into the shin of your enemies, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitch at Endurance M. Oh god, it's weird to say Endurance. Like, not even my mother calls me Endurance, and she gave me this fucking name. So, Endurance M. That's where I'm at. You can find me on Twitter. Yeah, Endurance M everywhere. We're never gonna change the bottom of this being at Endo Mills because
you know, I fucking noticed that finally on the last episode of the show. I'm like, oh, it still says Endo Mills, and then I still use the same graphic because I don't give a shit. We might have a new
Exactly my
graphics
point.
package coming in the next little bit anyway, so it's like, fuck it. Why fix it now? Why? Yeah, a little tease there for those who made it to the end. Yeah, it'll always be. Honestly, I might just leave it as Endo Mills, even on the new stuff that we might get. It's like, it'll just say Endo Mills.
Or just have it crossed out, and then the next one, the proper one at the bottom as well.
I could do what I did when you first joined the show, and I didn't have the new graphics ready after a changing of the guard, and I just put duct tape over the previous name, and then put your name over the duct tape. Oh, that's some main ingenuity right there. Sin, what do you got going on?
Yeah, just same old stuff. Kicking it with my Be a Pro and franchise series on my YouTube side of things. And might do some streaming, but my original idea is completely kaput now. Because I can't have multiple franchise saves, can't have multiple Be a Pro saves, because those also get deleted, by the way. That's I just found that out today from, I guess he's known as 1T Glory now. Follow him on YouTube. He's a good Be a Pro guy, formerly known as G20. But yeah, he apparently Be a Pro files get deleted too, so I have no idea what I'm going to do streaming-wise, because I was going to do a separate franchise or a separate Be a Pro, so.
I was going to say, how are you planning on breaking Be a Pro? Because you keep finding ways to get these hilarious glitches. At the same time, as we now know, you might not have to do anything. It might just break on its own.
Yeah. I've been just trying to play it. I'm actually, I'm enjoying it. The AI being bad at times aside, like there come the moments where you have those good shifts, and that always brings me back, where you're just able to cycle. You get good shifts, even if you don't score. That's what I love. And I'm going to end the season with like 500 hits because I've gotten so good at exploiting the hip check. Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah, no, I'm having fun with the Pro. I'm playing it on my own, the same one, because I'm like, you know what? I got to speed up the pace of the series. I don't necessarily want to like edit games because I only play the third period anyway, but I'm playing a lot of games on my own just to kind of speed through the regular seasons more, get to, more years, playoffs, whenever the hell Anaheim decides to stop sucking.
It sucks too, because I had interest in playing some Be a Pro this year, honestly. With the gameplay changes, I'm like, it could be more fun to play against the AI. And then I've seen all the troubles, and of course I've talked about the rosters being what they are.
Yeah.
It's like,
but
well,
hey, dude, if
maybe
you do the
June.
Memorial Cup and draft, it just resets the rosters to pre-draft state anyway, which is dumb. I still don't like that. I think they should just keep in the drafts and just have your guy get put on a team, and don't say that there's a draft at all. Like, just you're the only one who gets picked or something. But because if you do the draft, Bedard can get put on a different team if you get drafted first overall.
That's why I like the option to, start in the NHL immediately. You get to use custom rosters and all that as well.
Yeah, but it should keep the rosters for the Memorial Cup. It shouldn't reset them to a pre-draft state. Like, I think that's silly.
Kind of like how, I get what you mean.
You can find me everywhere at Tougie24. You know this at this point. I mean, my name's on the podcast. It's a podcast. We're still doing a lot of stuff with older NHLs. NHL 13 now has been on the agenda.
Oh, you have the hard case?
Yeah. It's not the original. I bought this off of Amazon, and I didn't even know I was getting the hard case, and then it showed up, and I'm like, oh, cool.
Nice.
So I really lucked out.
I've got the shiny Brodeur one for 14. That's it.
Ooh. God, was I the only fucking nerd that would be like, oh, I don't like the cover. Let me look up alternate covers that people made that are printable. Or like, can I get like the Swedish edition of the game that has like Sami Vatanen on the cover, even though he's Finnish? That'd be fun. God, that was a thing. That started because, I don't know if you guys remember, it was Madden 09. They had Brett Favre on the cover as a Packer. And then like 2 days later, he went to the Jets. So they made a printable cover of Brett Favre in a Jets jersey. And it started this, for a short time, obsession that some people had, my dumbass included, of being like, ooh, alternate covers are fun. Even though it's not like it would change in-game. It was just the physical case.
Yeah.
Weirdos, all of us. Anyway, NHL 13. Franchise mode. Fun. I have discovered something, though. For whatever reason, the sim speed in that game for franchise is glacial.
Yeah, that was it.
11 and 12 weren't that bad, but for some reason, 13 and apparently 14 is this bad too, as I've been warned.
Legacy is as well.
Yeah.
It's so brutal, and it's like, what happened? Is there just more stuff going on behind the scenes that slows it down? Like, these are the things that people don't quite remember about the era where they're like, oh my God, everything was fucking perfect back in the day. It's like, not quite.
Not really, sir.
I believe the sim speeds were faster on PlayStation.
Well, fuck me then.
Sorry, I'm taken.
I've made a terrible mistake. Question for next week's show: who's your one hall pass? God,
Polina, who's my hall pass? You're right there. Don't look at me.
Wait, is that a serious question? Why don't we?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. I was like, who asked that?
It could
Why
be Trevor.
not?
I don't know.
If you could choose a hall pass, who would it be? Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
With that, everybody, thank you for watching the show, listening to the show. We appreciate you. We'll see you later on this week for 20 more minutes of hockey talk and 6 more hours of why we're friends. Yeah, friendship. Friendship wins the day.